You're starting to run a new offer on Facebook ads. What should your daily budget be? Well, I'm going to share with you my simple formula for calculating your daily budget and how much money you ultimately need to spend to decide if you've got something that's a total flop or you've got something with some potential, and what to do if the advertising actually flops. Now, one thing I kind of want to clarify, because I think that there's a lot of misconception and myth around this, is Facebook ads are not cheap. A lot of people say that. A lot of people say, oh, Facebook ads are cheap. And well, maybe they were cheap in 2014, 2015, 2016. These days, after year of increasing advertising costs on the platform, I would say that Facebook ads are no longer cheap. Yes, they might be cheaper, and this really depends on what kind of product or what your offer is. They might be cheaper than Google pay-per-click, but maybe Google shopping ads are cheaper. Maybe Google discovery ads are cheaper than Facebook ads. Right? So I just want to kind of throw that out there. Facebook advertising is no longer cheap. Yes, it's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly effective, and you can get a very strong ROI on it. But it's not something you can just jump into and, throw a little pennies at and see if it works or not. You really need to kind of buy into the actual process and the method, and you will have to put some money behind it when you're ultimately testing a new offer or starting a new offer. All right, so let's jump into the formula. I'm going to get into the formula. We're going to kind of break it down and quantify it, put some numbers behind it. Simply put here, it is target cost per conversion times 10, okay, divided by 7. And that equals daily budget. All right. And now I always say you need to let your ads run for at least a week before you can determine anything. If you've ran Facebook ads at any point in time before, you know that the actual performance of your Facebook ads can be incredibly volatile. One day you might get, day one you might get 1 conversion. Day 2, you get 2 conversions. Day 3, you get 14 conversions. Day 4, you get 0 conversions. Things can happen, so you gotta let your ads run for at least a week. So whatever your daily budget is, you need to be prepared to let that run for at least a week, which subsequently is going to equal 10 times your target cost per conversion. All right, but that doesn't mean that that's where your losses are going to be limited, or that's where your budget's going to be limited. Anyway, so hear me out on this. Let's just say, let's just put some numbers behind it and say that our target cost per conversion is $20, okay? Times 10 divided by 7. What do we need to have our daily budget at? Well, it's this number right here because I already did it in the calculator before I opened up the screen. It's $28.57 a day. That's where your daily budget needs to be. Now, in this case, I would probably just start it off with 30. Now, the big variable, though, in this equation here is, for everybody following along, the target cost, right? How do we know what our target cost needs to be? Okay, well, if you're just starting out with a new offer, a new product or something, I recommend setting your target cost at break even. Now, mind you, I'm saying target cost. This is not something you're setting in Facebook. This is something that you need to kind of come up with on your own, and it's going to be, I don't want to say arbitrary, but it's a personal metric that you're using, right? So target cost should technically be right at break even or gross profit. Okay, so if you are going to have a gross profit, and gross profit equals sales minus cost of goods to deliver it, or cost of services, depending on what you're doing. All right, so gross profit equals sales minus cost of goods sold, the money left over after you actually fulfill the order. In an e-commerce business, your gross profit is probably going to be low, or your cost of goods is going to be pretty high. So if you've got something that you're selling for $100, it might cost you $60 to actually deliver it. Therefore, in that case, your gross profit is going to be $40. Now, in the case of an info product or digital product, your gross profit is basically whatever you're selling it for, because you essentially have no cost of goods sold. So in this case, let's just say that we're selling a $50 product. It took us $30 to actually buy the product and deliver it. So we have a gross profit of $20. That's why I'm using the $20 target cost, or that's why it's my implied target cost. All right. So if you're just starting a new offer, I think that setting it at break even is probably the best place, to start it. That's going to give you the most budget, right? You just want to kind of prove your concept at this point. Now, I'm not saying that you should run ads at break even forever. That's absolutely stupid. Our point here is to make a profit. But if you can make it run at break even, then you can improve it through your creative, offer an audience, or increasing, that's on the front end. On the back end, increasing your customer value or your average order value. So maybe you bundle additional products or services, you increase your sale price like that, or you have downstream upsells or additional back end revenue that you are making. Okay. So that's how you would ultimately make this work if you're just starting things off at break even. But fundamentally, break even is the starting point, right? So, target cost equals gross profit. And if you do that, you're basically just going to break even on things. And that is usually the best starting point. And that's where I start out things. That's where I start out new things that I am trying. Okay. So go through, your actual numbers, the finances or the accounting behind whatever you're selling or offering, right? And use that target cost, in this formula here based on what your gross profit actually is. So if you have $20 gross profit, boom, run it with a target cost of $20. Now, what is going to happen here, or how many, let's just kind of rephrase that now, how many conversions should you actually get over the week? Well, I like to keep it simple and go with one, okay? In that 1 week, you're going to spend $200. Mind you, you're going to have a loss at this point of $200. If you get one conversion, I would say that you are having success with it. Right? If you have one conversion, the first conversion is usually going to be the hardest one for Facebook to find. The more it gets, the better it does, the more data it gets. So if I get one conversion in that week, I'm going to let it just keep on running. Okay. What if we don't get that one conversion in a week? Well, then it's time to go back to the drawing board here. And you may have heard this saying in marketing, your ad performance is simply 80%, let me do this, 80% offer plus audience, and then 20% creative, right? Well, if you don't get that one conversion in the first week, then what you need to go back to is your offer and audience. So many kind of amateur marketers really look at this creative, right? And then they'll go back to things and they'll be like, okay, I'm going to change the picture of my ad. And it's going to be, damn near the same picture. It's going to be a very similar one. Or I'm going to change my copy in my ad. Or I'm going to go to my landing page and change a font and change a color. Those little things are trivial. They're not really moving the needle. If you're not getting that one conversion in the first week with this budget, you fundamentally, most likely 99% of the time, have an offer and audience problem. And then you need to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, how can we restructure this offer? Does the audience actually want this? Does the audience want marketing? Or do they want leads? Or do they want sales, right? What do they really want? And what am I offering to it? That doesn't mean you have to change your product, right? As in that example I just used, you don't necessarily have to change your product, but you do need to change the way that you're offering it and possibly change the audience. So yeah, if you don't get one conversion in the first week, using this formula, go back to the drawing board, look for a way to restructure your offer and look for a different audience to test it on. Just making little changes is just going to result in more losses. Now, if you do get that one conversion in the first week, I would probably just let it keep running, maybe increase my budget a little bit so that Facebook can get more and more conversions. That's ultimately what you need. The more conversions you get, the better your ad performance will be. Right? And from there, then I would maybe go into making changes to my creative at this point, right? Fundamentally, my audience wants the offer at least pretty much a reasonable degree. Maybe you could get a better offer and an audience match. But then I would start looking at my creative and improving that. And then fundamentally on top of that, I guess we could almost, do like a little exponent type of thing here, and then put customer value up there. Because if you're offering your audiences a match, you can improve your creative, you can radically increase the performance of things by increasing customer value. All right, so that is my simple formula for determining what my daily budget should be on Facebook ads when I'm starting a new offer. Do you think this is going to work for you guys, or what has been your experience using this formula? Let me know in the comments below.